Insights with Terri Ep.205, a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.205. Here's Terri.
Hello everybody, this is Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.205, and together we are going to explore the week of February the 2nd through the 9th, 2025. Thank you for joining me. Your time is really appreciated, honored and respected, and very gratefully received from me. So thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate it. Now, minutes before, I wish it would have been after, but minutes before I started this podcast, it came across the table here that Trump has imposed a lot of tariffs on us, and I won't go through the whole list. So it's a given now. And they're saying there could be a trade war. There will be, not could. There will be, like them saying we could have COVID. There will be. So we're going to have to find out who and what we're made out of. Sometimes it's not such a bad thing to know where your strengths are, where your weaknesses are, where your morals lie, where your limits lie. So we're going to find out about ourselves. And when I say that, I'm looking at where the planets are right now. And with Aquarius being in the sun sign, which is global, so this is affecting people globally as well. And Mercury, the planet of the mind, how we think, how we communicate, that's in Aquarius too. So this is global. So it's not just poor Canadians. It's going to affect globally pretty well everybody that's stationed on this planet right now. So there's going to be some vibrational reverberations here. And where do we put ourselves? Where do we individually put ourselves as a person to be as safe as we can possibly be? Where do we put ourselves as a province, a city, a country, and the globe to put ourselves in a position that's as advantageous as possible? Boy, that's a question and a half, isn't it? And I could spend a long time talking to you about it, but I'm looking at all of you individually as opposed to, I'm trying not to get political. I'm trying to look at how can you help your own life work well for each person individually. So, that being the case, we have, which I don't mind, we have our, I'm going to say Venus, which you know is the planet of love and beauty and attraction. It's right now in Pisces, which is our psychic energy field. What does it feel like to you individually? Where do you feel safe? What ideas are going through your mind? What do you feel pulled to do by the universe? What do you feel pushed not to do by the universe? This is a time to listen to our instincts, our inside talking voice. Now that's going to turn into Aries, which got me a little bit scared but happy. That's going to turn into Aries on the 5th this week. Aries is ruled by Mars, and Mars is the god of war, the red planet, the angry planet. Now that doesn't mean we're going to go to war, but it means that it might light a fire, and because we're in Aquarius, it might light a fire in all of us globally to say, hey, Mr. Orange Man, go ahead. We're going to stand together, humanitarian, community, global. We're going to stand together, and we're going to maybe find strength in our associations. So this is where you're going to see maybe new alliances start to come together, which might not be a bad thing. You know, new friends. We were getting ready last year to release friends that didn't work for us anymore. Not that they were bad people, but they just didn't sing a song that we wanted to hear. So maybe that energy in us releasing friends may now translate globally into us making new alliances with people we're not so familiar with, stepping out of the comfort zone. And that's Mars will also make us want to, when I say fight, not go to war, of course, but say, hey, this isn't going to work this way. So what Trump announced, I think it was 25% tariff. There's a whole list of everything. And he said if you try to punch back, or if you do anything that that goes back at us, we'll pump it up. So in other words, lay down and accept your punishment. I don't think Canadians are made that way. I know I'm not, and I'd be interested to see how Canadians are going to handle that lay down and just take your stuff. So I don't think we're going to. Now, Mars, the planet of Mars, is in Cancer right now, and it's going retrograde, which we talked about earlier, which is a nurturing energy, a kind energy, a compassionate energy, a home energy. When it's going retrograde, we have all of those qualities, but also the qualities of mom having to kick ass to the kids because they got out of line. So we may find ourselves not feeling energetically wanting to retaliate, but also knowing that lines have to be drawn. So I'm looking at that as a big possibility, that there is a line that will be drawn. Now, in our favor. And you can transfer this too to your own life, your daily life as well. On Monday, the moon, which is one of our stronger emotional planets, is in Aries. How about that? So on the 5th, the planet of Venus is going into Aries, and on the 3rd, the moon is in Aries. So that means there's going to be a lot of people on the planet that aren't going to be so happy with him, and the United States, I shouldn't say just him, but the United States, and may want to hold a line. The god of war. No, not doing it. You're going to make us mad, and if you make us mad, we might have to do something. That doesn't mean war. It could be a trade war, absolutely, but we're not talking about weapons. But we're talking about the next energy that's going to happen is on Tuesday, the 4th, the bull comes into the moon. That's determination, that's strength, that is kind of stubborn. You know, how dare you? I'm just going to have to run you over. Never give up kind of energy. Maybe we're going to need that. And then on Thursday, Gemini comes into the moon. Gemini's the thinker. Gemini thinks, figures things out, uses logic. So we've got the intuitiveness of Venus just before it turns into Aries. We have the thinker on the 5th. We've got some really good advantages here if we use them. So we're not going to think our way out of it, but we can put some pretty good plans into place. And then on Saturday, the moon goes into Cancer. My concern here, Cancer's loving, forgiving, motherly. It's okay, honey, I love you anyway. We can't let the kindness of Canadians let ourselves be walked on. So we have to be kind and fair and just, but sometimes we have to stand our ground and be strong. So I'm a little concerned about that, but I got faith in us Canadians. I really do. Then on top of all of this, you add the number 4 was given to us. And the number 4 is saying that people will be successful at what they do thanks to perseverance and systematic work, and consistency and order are going to be very important. So we have to remember that. We have to be consistent, so that means everybody has to pull the same rope, and we have to be doing it in an orderly fashion. Persevere and systematic. So that's number 1, number 2, number 3. Go at it systematically. So it's kind of like training puppies. You have to do it systematically. It's one, then it's another, and you layer. I don't train them to do military work before I train them to be housebroken. There's a system to it. You have to bond first. Once the bond is there, then you teach them the name, then you teach them where the food comes from, and then you teach them to come when called, and you teach them to leave it. Get that out of your mouth. Housebreaking. It's systematic. And that's what they're going to give to us with the number 4. And it promises success later. Not necessarily will we see success now. This is individual too in what you're doing. But we may not see it, but we will have it later. And the hard work that we're doing now is absolutely going to pay off. Now, I've been seeing that, kids, in other people's readings, where the card that's been coming up is the card of reward, which means you put the work in and then the rewards come. So the dog comes, he sits, he downs, he spins around. We do a healing on the left side, a healing on the right side. We do a backwards healing, and then the reward comes. So that's what this is. And they also screaming at us that patience is important. So we're going to need to be practical and maybe a little conservative, but not ridiculous conservative. Now, we have to be patient and thought-filled, mindful of what we're doing. We are absolutely, with number 4, not going to like the changes. Number 4 says you're not going to like changes when you pair it with where the planets are right now. And we're not going to like any monotonous energy fields that might be given to us by politicians if they don't get off their duffs and start doing something. We will feel physically strong because of this Mars energy. So pull in that energy, kids. And you that are evolved can send that energy out to our leaders to make the good decisions, to be strong in the face of adversity, to even in your own lives. What do you need strength in? Where do you need that physical strength? Where do you need energy? And they're asking us to do some activities where you can use your physical strength and your dexterity and meditate, like a walking meditate, a moving meditation, and send it out there while you're doing it. Now, this is interesting. I wish I had a half an hour for this podcast, but if you want to look up orientation, this is one of the things they claim will stave off dementia and Alzheimer's by doing things physically at the same time that you're using your brain. So orientation, you're given a map, you're given directions, and you've never been here before, and you have to figure out how to get to that dot on the map with your compass. So you're using your mind, you're using your body, and they say that type of work really can uptick a good 10% in your ability to throw off the mental fog and keep your brain neurons firing. So maybe that's part of some of this energy field. The weakness of number 4 in the position it's been putting us in is carelessness. Uh-oh. Okay, so we got to be careful of that. And to have a narrow view of life. If we don't look broadly right now, if we don't look at ramifications, both in our private life and our public life here, it could be a problem. So they're saying that we need at this time to be very careful when we're making decisions. Be very careful. Look at the ramifications. Use experience. But that experience shouldn't be turned inward like baggage. It should be used to build on, but not baggage. And be careful that it doesn't affect the nervous system, because a lot of people are going to get anxious because there's a lot riding on this, a lot. And so it's going to be really important to release the accumulated energy that's going to be happening in this next little bit. So maybe that's why they're asking us to exercise. There are going to be packages where our confidence is going to be shaken. But then that's self-talk. What are we saying to ourselves in our head? So we have to be careful about our self-talk in this. Physically, what we may feel this week, watch for headaches, sinus infections the beginning of the week. There could be some, if you're vulnerable in that area around the teeth, the jaws, the head, then that moves towards the beginning of the week to the neck, the vocal cords, the throat. If you have thyroid problems, just be careful, make sure it's balanced correctly. As we get to the middle of the week, it's going to move down to the shoulders, the arms, possibly bronchial tubes, your lungs. So coughing, fluid, just kind of watch, right? And then towards the end of the week, we're looking at possible stomach issues or stomach sensitivities. So if you do have stomach issues, just watch what you put in your mouth and make sure that it isn't something that your stomach's going to say, no, I don't think so. I think you're in trouble now. They're saying right now with the cards, just quickly, we have some challenges, of course. I mean, everybody knows that. We'd have to be a mushroom not to know it. Focus on what makes you emotionally happy. Now that I've talked about coughing, excuse me. So they're asking us to focus on emotionally happy things that take the pressure off from others and things that we're thinking, and start to just really focus on, what makes you really glad you're here. Because we're going to have to kind of negate the negative energy, intercept it. Missile. Think of a missile. You're going up to shoot out that negative missile. So they want you to focus on what makes you happy and do it. You've got to do it. There's going to be some challenges, as we know, in the physical part of everything. So frustration in finances. Excuse me. I am sorry. I don't have any water near me, so you're going to have to put up with me. I'm sorry. So there's going to be problems in the physical part of our money, security, comfort. That can lend to health issues as well. So this is why you're going to have to be especially kind to your body, very observant of things, being aware of your body talking to you. It's going to be really, really important, because we're going to be in a frustrated energy field. Emotionally, it's going to be hard. We're looking at some really disappointing heart energy, and that card came up. And what that demonstrates is that none of this has to happen. I guess some of the things that we'll be living through in our own private lives and some of our bigger picture things are going to be disappointing, because we could see how it could be, how it should be, and when you can see that, that's what you hope for, and when it doesn't manifest, it's disappointing. But the wisdom of that card is asking us to, even though things are disappointing right now, how do you turn it around? Maybe you walk away and say, this relationship is no good. It's not working for me. This could be our own personal relationships, or maybe I'm just not going to deal with it right now. I'm going to go do something else. I'm going to go play in the snow-covered garden. And maybe we have to walk away from the relationship with the United States and build stronger relationships elsewhere. We will not feel loved. So this unconditional love card came upside down. And that can be that because so many people are fearful, myself included, see things coming that we don't like, anxiety, we can start to internalize that and make it worse. So we have to really not put our head in the sand, but we have to really work at also focusing on what's good. What could we do with this? Think of it as problem solving. And then the star came out. That's the card of magic. It's an amazing card. One of my favorites. And it's where things can happen that we think could never happen. Well, I can say that I'm in that energy field right now, but in the negative. I'm seeing things happening that I never thought would happen. And I'm reminded of what my grandmother said, is the world is outgrowing her in her understanding of it as she knew it. And I guess I could feel that as well. But this is magic. This is a card of magic. This is a card that allows us the opportunity to look outside the norm of things. So let's play with that for a minute. Let's play with the thought that sometimes we can create our own experience by how we think, how our mind works, what we do. We can create an energy field that can control how we think. And as we control what our random thoughts are, we also then can to a degree, control our future. So, If I let my mind control me, I would be afraid a lot of the time. I'd be afraid to get up in the ladder and get into the hayloft and hang on the post. And what if I slipped? What if I fell? What if my foot slipped on the ladder? All the what ifs would scare me and I wouldn't get up on the ladder and I wouldn't do it. Or I can say that could happen, so let's take a good grip. Let's be careful where we put our feet. Let's be thoughtful about how we get up into the hayloft, and we can do it. And I can get all the chicken wire and hand it down. So our thoughts, our way we think can control what we experience and the situations that we work through. And that's what this card, the star, is trying to say to us. So maybe on a grand scale, we all need to come together and maybe buy Canadian. Look at the labels. If it doesn't say this tomato is from Canada in Leamington, don't buy it. Go without a tomato. Find something else. Put something else. Sprout. I do a lot of my own sprouting. It's really easy, and you have all these fresh little sprouts that you put in your sandwiches, in your wraps. Woo! And like almost free. It's so cheap. So there's alternatives. There's always alternatives. Don't go to the States and buy it at Farmer Jack or Myers, or spend your money here. There's all kinds of things that we can do to make this a little different outcome. So this magic, maybe people getting together, talking, maybe we're bitching a little bit, but in that bitching might come up with a solution that will help us in the long run. It doesn't stay bitching, but it might force us to get some new ideas. So it might not be all bad. It's going to be hard. There's no doubt. No doubt. This is going to be hard. Is it frustrating? I'm pulling my hair out. Am I angry? I'd like to say no. Oh yeah. I have steam coming out of all kinds of orifices. I am really mad that one person can be this silly and do this. But also it's a challenge. So think of how this relates to your private life. What can you do? And how can I make it better? And how can I maybe help other people? And that's the big thing, isn't it? How do we affect other people? So I went out the other day and I took one of my dogs. He's a really wonderful dog and he's very personable and draws people in. It's a gift that he has. And I thought, I'm going to go and do some banking and I'm going to go to another store. And he just brought everybody to us, and we had wonderful conversations with people. And I learned their story because he broke the ice, and it was just a really good experience. So what can we do to make ourselves feel connected to our community? Mine's Essex, but I also hang in Amherstburg and all over. So what can you do? Can you reach out to a neighbor? If snow comes, can you shovel a walk and just wave? Can you offer somebody a flower? Think, just what could you do to make somebody else's life just a little bit better? Even in a small way. It's amazing what little small things can do. All right, so on that note, I'm going to leave you with that. And gratitude, I wanted to thank Charlie O'Brien for all of his work on putting us on Spotify, on Apple iTunes podcasts, and Amazon Music podcasts, SoundCloud, YouTube. He gives me the link. I post it on Facebook. He's created the website www.terriworld.com and archived 4 or 5 of the podcasts up there in case you missed it or you want to go over it again. And I thank you, Charlie. He also has a GoFundMe page right now for his amazing radio. It's the number 8, Big 8 radio. If you want to listen to the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, it's super. And so he's got a GoFundMe page there. I will put the link as well on my Facebook page. And if you can help him out, even $1, it would mean the world to me. And I know he's so grateful. He doesn't take anything for granted. He's an amazing man. So thank you. If you need a reading for yourself or you need any help with your dog, bird, cat, horse, goat, give me a shout, text or call 519-726-6699. You can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com. Enjoy your week. Do your best. And I know that you will. I will try to do mine too. And then forgive myself when it doesn't happen. All right, everybody. Have a great week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.